Okay, I'm going to ask you this question, Coach. I don't want an honest answer. What do you put in your orange juice? It's dreary, it's cold, it's wet, and
I don't drink orange juice.
You're a ray of sunshine in the morning.
I don't drink orange juice. I don't drink juice.
Another edition of Poke Nation is here. Interesting guy. That's all I'm going to say. Heath Schroyer, Jim Gazzolo, Poke Nation. Dana Dunbar will be our guest on compliance. You got $77 million to give?
Isn't that crazy? But
$77 million not to coach football. That
Correct.
is what Jimbo Fisher is going to get from Texas A&M. You got the firing at Mississippi State over the weekend.
He didn't even make it a year.
No. Have you ever seen so many in-season firings in college? That didn't used to be the case.
No, but I think what's happened is, with the December recruiting, that, and I think people do it for a couple of reasons. One is it gets them a head start on their replacement,
Yeah.
and you probably know a few months before that, if that's where it's trending, that you're already starting to work on that. But it kind of gives you a jump start, and I wouldn't be surprised if the new coaches at those places aren't named before the end of the season, so that they can move right in and work on securing that recruiting class in December.
There's already rumors that Lincoln Riley is going to Texas A&M or being looked at by Texas A&M. You go from if you start taking people during the season from big programs, that's going to have a trickle-down effect to all levels.
100%, absolutely. I mean, it's it's true. I mean, it's but look, I mean, Division I athletics, let alone Division I football, it's a business, and when they're paying. I mean, think about this. You're paying a coach $76 million to not coach. So think about what winning football at Texas A&M brings in.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, to them, it's, I mean, obviously there's a lot, they're hard decisions. But when you look at it from a financial standpoint and it's $76 million, well, no one's doing that to lose money. So they know what successful football at A&M is, and they're willing to pay the price to get it, I guess.
Now you're an AD now, no longer a coach. Mm-hmm. How much of the balance sheet do you got to look at when you're making those decisions?
You're constantly looking at it. It is a balance, and finances. I mean, they're all real. But it's never easy. Like last year, I mean, we had to make a change and buy out a basketball coach. Those decisions are never easy, and they're very hard because you have personal relationships with coaches and things like that. And hey, listen, you're the AD at Texas A&M, and you got to write a check for $76 million. That's a big check to write.
And suddenly the question is, you're now on the line of fire.
Sure. I mean, but it's interesting who they're going to go get, right? Like, obviously they have the money to attract whoever they want. That's right.
They can pay anybody. They can go after a Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
They can go after just about anybody but Nick Saban.
Correct.
And they've even probably could even talk to Nick Saban. They have the money to do whatever they want.
And I would imagine that everyone will at least take the call because it is Texas A&M, and they do have unlimited resources.
And if you don't take the call, that doesn't filter back to your people, so you can get a raise. I mean, that's how the game's played.
For sure.
That's pretty much how the game's played. Okay, you ever steal signs? What do you make of the NCAA
I think it's
clearing Jim Harbaugh, essentially, but the Big Ten suspending Jim Harbaugh?
I think it's a joke. I think the whole thing is a joke. I mean, look, every coach is trying to gain an advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, so when you're watching film, I mean, you're watching the point guard make the call. You're trying to zoom in on the timeout. It's
like poker. You're trying to get a tip.
Exactly.
You're trying to get a tell.
It's the game, and I think that look, Michigan's really good. There's a lot of people that don't like people who are really good, and I think they don't like Michigan, and I think it's all a bunch of baloney.
But shame on all these schools that are letting people on their sidelines and then complaining about what they're doing while they're on their sidelines.
Absolutely.
You're letting the guy on your sideline.
That's exactly right.
You're giving him the pass. Don't you check who's on the pass? I mean, you guys do check who's going on the sidelines.
Absolutely, 100%.
Although, I don't know, if people walk around your sidelines like everybody else. I don't get on the sidelines, but I would imagine that you've got to check somewhat.
Yes, 100%. You got to show ID at the ticket office, et cetera. I mean, you're exactly right. Schools. I just think it's a bunch of baloney.
But it's typical NCAA. I'll say that.
I'm not touching that.
I can say that.
Okay.
Though. You can't say that. I can say that. But it's hey, look, it gets Jim Harbaugh a little closer to the Bears, so I'm happy. I got no problem saying that. But I do think it's interesting that everybody says it's terrible, but now all the fingers are being pointed back to those who pointed the fingers at them.
Oh, for sure.
We're hearing that
That's how it always
everybody
goes.
did it.
That's how it always goes. Right?
Everybody does it. Everybody tries to take an advantage. If you're not trying to take it, I would imagine you're looking at, like you said, you look at the point guard and see what they're doing. And
Oh, absolutely. It's
short of bugging somebody's locker room, I'm good with anything.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think you should, film other practices and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't think that everyone's on the sideline, looking over there on the other sideline to try to, what are we doing here?
Exactly. When we come back, Dana Dunbar will join us. We'll talk about compliance, the portal, and where she likes to eat. After this on Poke Nation.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done!
Tell me how the day unfolds. Traffic fast or traffic slow. The feeling is so fine, I gotta say. You're everywhere, got you everywhere. Everywhere I roam. You're everywhere, got you everywhere. Everywhere I go. Go. Everywhere I go.
When you're knocked down, sometimes it might take a little longer to get back up again. But even still, know that you will. To the problem solvers, those who knocked the dust off and started over, we're glad you're still here. We're thankful we're all still here. Since 1907, we've been your Louisiana bank, your community bank. And together, we're getting back closer to normal every day. It's our heritage. It's who we are. And that's what makes Evangeline, well, Evangeline.
At Lakeside Bank, we specialize in stress-free banking services. Now you can stress less with our Great Escape Spa giveaway. One winner a month can unwind with a relaxing spa package from Scarborough's Salon and Day Spa. Then, in December, we'll give away a luxurious relaxation trip for two to Miraval Resort in Arizona. Now that's stress-free. Register today at any Lakeside banking location. Stress less at Lakeside Bank.
Welcome back to Poke Nation. It is a pleasure to have Miss Dana Dunbar.
Thanks for
Welcome
having
to
me.
Poke Nation. So, you broke away from the compliance department for a little bit, okay? Joined Poke Nation. You have the great Gazzola the Great to your right.
She got out in the real public. Out in the public.
Out of the
Out
office.
from behind the computer and figuring out who can and cannot play.
Oh boy! Well, honestly, Dana, thank you for being here. You've been a huge asset to this department since you've been hired. But let's talk about the journey, right? So, tell Poke Nation where you're from. You played here, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about, give your story a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Chadden, Nebraska. From there, I went on to play college softball at Des Moines Area Community College. We finished third in the nation at JUCO. That was a pretty cool experience. Mm-hmm. From there, I transferred to Northwest Missouri State, a D2 in Missouri. Then I was able to graduate early, and with my undergrad in business management, I saw the director of softball operations come open as a GA position, and I always knew I wanted to be in college athletics, but I never wanted to coach. Coaching was never for me. My cousin, Stacy Martin, who's the senior associate commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, I've watched her work her way up, so I thought the softball gig was the perfect spot for me. Coach Landreneau saw something in me, called me, and 2 weeks later, I was down here, moved to Louisiana, spent 2 seasons with the softball team as their director of ops, managing budgeting, game contracts, travel logistics, everything but the coaching part.
Right.
But that was coming to an end since it was only a graduate assistant position. And I went to Todd Butler and I told him I'm very interested in sticking around some more. I like McNeese, I like the coaches, the admin. And he's like, well, if you have a position open, I'll keep you in mind. And this position came open, and I'm grateful that you kept me on, and I like McNeese.
Well,
happy to be here.
You're doing an unbelievable job. Talk about the difference between Nebraska and Lake Charles, Louisiana.
The food. You guys season stuff. Like, I'm telling people. So it was funny on my interview when I came down, it was crawfish opening season. I've never had crawfish in my life. The waitress is going around asking 3 or 5. So I'm thinking it's 3 crawfish or 5 crawfish.
Right.
So she brings them out, and they're by the pounds on those big trays. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So they're teaching me how to crack them open on the interview, and I was like, I don't know how to peel crawfish. I'm not getting the job. But it all worked out. Now I like crawfish. I've ate passalaya, jambalaya, all of it now.
So that's the McNeese interview process.
Take them
Crawfish.
to crawfish.
That's awesome.
So the interesting thing about that, now you have an interesting job to me because, especially with the transfer portal, you have a job where you basically say people you can't play. You're trying to figure out how many, but you also have to figure out how many years they still have left. We get this question a lot. Somebody will be listed like a Ryan Roberts, a redshirt sophomore, yet he's graduating. How often is that? Because you're dealing basically with years of eligibility, not school years. How difficult is that to keep them apart?
So keeping them apart, again, like you're going to their websites, making sure they played here. But also it ties into school too. Like you have to have every year, like when you're a sophomore, you have to have 48 credits to be able to transfer in, or you have to go to summer school before you can play. So we communicate a lot with our academics, looking at theirs, looking at their schedule. But with that transfer portal too, they may be transferring in and they're losing credits. So you're trying to pick them up, trying to see what major. They may want to do business management, but we have to put them in general studies for a few years because they can't.
They're not ready yet. Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of people don't understand is every time somebody transfers, we see kids coming 3, 4 different schools, you're losing credits. How much do they have to play catch up, and how much do you have to be sure to say, you're not ready to play here? How many times do you tell kids you can't come here?
So we don't really tell them from the academic side they can't come here, but we lay it out like you were expected to graduate this year at your old school. You're going to have 2 years left when you come here because you're going to lose this amount of credits. Trying to explain that process to them. They still have it's hard.
Yeah, I think too, and kind of talk about this, Dana, like obviously in today's world, in the transfer portal age, kids are jumping all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So, which is hard to manage from a graduation standpoint because every time you transfer, you lose credits, right?
Yeah.
Like McNeese isn't going to accept the same credits that, I don't know, Lamar, whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like everyone's degree plan is a little bit different. Talk about like how different that is in that communication.
So yeah, along that communication, again, like our JUCO kids, they're enrolled in, say you're in baseball and weightlifting. Well, those don't roll over. Those aren't accredited programs. So
Right.
you lose those credits.
That's right.
And trying to explain them, you need this amount of core English, you need this amount of core math, core social studies, like all that. You can do all these extras, but it's not going to roll over when you come here.
And that's the thing is also you have kids that go 4-year school, junior college, then to McNeese.
For sure.
How does that pick up? Because now you're talking about 2 different schools on 2 different levels, or even when they come from NAIA.
Yeah, so I've been looking at some transcripts right now. We have some of those 4-2-4 transfers. So you're picking up, making sure, because I may be wrong, I got to look back on it, but you have to have 60 credits if you're coming in as a junior.
Yeah.
That's right.
To transfer over. And again, if you're not at that amount, then we're recommending next semester you take this at your JUCO or wherever you're at, or enroll in summer classes so that you can get back on track. But then it's again, we may not pay for those to get you. It's all falls into that as well.
When we come back with Dana Dunbar, we're going to talk about COVID and the end of the COVID finally.
Finally.
And also some other things that kind of change, keeping up with the NCAA, which I'd imagine that book is pretty thick.
Oh, yeah. Always changing.
When we come back on Poke Nation.
Serving the community of Southwest Louisiana since 1954 and a loyal supporter of McNeese State University for over 30 years, Southwest Beverage has provided scholarships to students, supported athletic programs, and sponsored the Banner Series since its inception. We pride ourselves on being the premier beverage supplier in Southwest Louisiana, offering an extensive portfolio of beer, spirits, and non-alcoholic beverages. We're Southwest Beverage, and we want to say thank you for your support.
Tell me how the day unfolds. Traffic fast or traffic slow. The feeling is so fine, I gotta say. You're everywhere, got you everywhere. Everywhere I roam. You're everywhere, got you everywhere. Everywhere I go. Go. Everywhere I go.
Ever since I was young, I've known what I wanted to do. Sure, I had some guidance along the way. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But eventually, I had all I wanted. Family, career. It went by fast. Now I'm here. Retirement. And thanks to sound financial planning, it will be all I hoped for. And our children will have a secure legacy. For me, retirement is the next great chapter in my life.
Ferdinandson Financial Group. Let us help you make a plan.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier, Greg Brooks,
Kyron Lacey. Whether on the field, in the community, or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team, make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
We're back with Dana Dunbar talking transfers, portals, just about everything else, and eligibility. Okay, COVID's ending. When does COVID officially end and we won't have 26-year-old freshmen or things like that?
Yeah.
But we've had guys come in and say 7, 8 years in the NCAA and they're still letting them play. When does that kind of end?
So we're on our last round of COVID with that extra year of eligibility now. With that also, I think we're going to see the transfer portal somewhat decrease. Simplify, because they won't have that extra year now with them. A lot of them were able to graduate as a grad transfer and transfer out because that extra year of eligibility. So I think we're going to see some changes now that we're finally getting out of the COVID stage.
And I want to ask you this, as they come from NAIA, but also the quarter systems and California especially, because you picked up some junior college kids from California, those are completely different looking transcripts, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. And then they're not required to take the ACT and SAT. By NCAA, you don't have to, but to be enrolled in school, you have to have that. So kind of explaining that to them when those states aren't requiring it.
Yeah.
It is, you know, here's what's amazing is when I first took over as the AD, there was one academic advisor for everybody that did all of Dana's job, to study, like, it was impossible. And consequently, it's one of the reasons that we went on APR probation in football, that we just did not have the support for our student athletes. I think the one thing that, you know, that I wanted to do and we've done is really beef up and enhance this department. And that being said, talk about to Poke Nation a little bit, Dana, about who do you work with a lot? Obviously Megan Swallow, who else? And talk about, your day-to-day.
Yeah, so our academic department's great. Megan Swallow, Sandy Rodriguez, Logan Fontenot. So Megan has all of football. Her and John Lemke work through most of those football transcripts because they're a little crazy. But I
creative.
work.
I call them creative.
Yeah.
Creative.
But all the other sports, I go through those again with Sandy, Logan, making sure that kids are on track, make sure that we're following that way. But academics is great. They know what they're doing on top of it, and the kids go in there for help. They come into my office too, just, hey, can you help me with this problem? Just so they have somebody to talk to, help them through the school part, because when you are in season, you're on the road, you're traveling, and to have somebody who's going to support you academically, it's great.
I wanted to see this about the portal because everybody talks about football portal, basketball portal, but there's a portal for every sport. You said soccer portal just opened up. They don't all open up at one time, do they?
No, they don't. So soccer opened today. Volleyball and football, they open in about 2 weeks from now. They did shrink the portal from 60 days to 45 days. I think that's going to help because essentially kids know kind of by the end of the season what they're going to do. They've had their end of the year meetings. So coaches can start, okay, I don't have this player. I can start looking there. So I think that's going to help. And then they also, like, for if you make playoffs, they're going to extend it 7 days for those teams.
All right, Dana, so let's get to the real good stuff here. Okay, so you moved from Nebraska. You've been here a few years. What's your favorite restaurant in town?
My favorite restaurant? That's tricky. I got to go the Beckery for breakfast. They got some good stuff.
Yeah, good call.
Po' Boys. I've gotten to like Po' Boys, so Daryl's. Crawfish, Mr. Bill's. That's her.
There we go. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I love that. I love those are solid picks. What's your favorite Cajun dish now?
Ooh, gumbo. I've gotten to gumbo.
Are you going for a new show, Cooking with Eve?
Cooking with Eve.
What is this?
I won't be cooking, but
Do you like to cook?
no.
No?
I can do crock pot. That's about it. But
okay.
I'm not a cook.
Do you find out that in this job now you have to talk about food because food is such a part of the culture down
Oh,
there?
it's huge. Like every time people aren't asking what time the event is, they're like, what are they serving? Like food's just huge in Louisiana.
And when you talk to kids, do students from that transfer in from other parts of the country, do you have to go over that with them?
Talk about, ask them, well, where are you going for lunch? Oh, you got to try this dish.
And I'll give a shout out to Mr. Bills too, because they host our podcast, and they are now the official caterer of the Platinum Club. Like if you want a great plate lunch, Mr. Bills, it's hard to beat it. It really is.
There's everybody is something with this now.
What are you talking about?
The official something of McNeese.
They are. Hey, listen, like the caterer for Platinum Club's a big deal. I mean, how many people come in here every single basketball? Like for our last game, we had 160 people in this room eating food. Platinum Club. How about that?
Told you. Food.
Okay, I want to ask you this before we let you go and get back on somewhat of a track. Keeping up with the NCAA and their changes, do they give you a different book every year? Because they change almost every year something, don't they?
Yeah, so we have the LSBI, that way. It's constantly with all different rules that are coming up, keeping up to date with that. But they're always on top of it. You're getting emails. It's almost every talk about what's going to happen.
And the other thing we've done too, Jim, is we've sent Dana to a lot of conferences, because like you said, there's always things they're happening and moving, and we want to be proactive in what we're doing in our approach. And Dana's been up to, she's been to multiple conferences, talking to different compliance people.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be nominated by our conference to go to the NCAA headquarters. And it was a new compliance officers all there teaching us the ins and outs, stuff that you don't really learn on campus, but it was a great learning experience.
Yeah, it's an interesting field because keeping people eligible, finding who's eligible, that's going to continue to change as the transfer portal changes.
No question.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll get Coach's final thoughts after this on Poke Nation.
Hey, she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Hey, Lake Charles, Russ Silvers, your Eye on the Lake guy, here at Legacy Center on McNeese campus, and you're watching CBS Lake Charles. Go Pokes.
Well, we're back, and a lot of interesting things she makes points of, but it's no longer the coach just walking in and saying, I want this player, make him eligible.
Oh, no. We were so depleted and so thin in our compliance and academic support when I took over, and it was one of the big priorities. And having that position has really helped us a lot. It's a different world, and it's continuing to change. And if you don't have
you got to stay somebody up on top of it.
100%.
Otherwise, you're going to get buried. All right, let's talk about this a little bit. Nichols beats LSU in basketball.
Yeah.
Good win for the Southland Conference.
Great win. Just like McNeese beating VCU was a really good
win.
win.
I was going to say that those are two really big wins. You also see Western Carolina just beat Notre Dame. You're playing Western Carolina Saturday?
Saturday.
We see some mid-majors doing some things that are interesting that we haven't seen before. Obviously, part of that is the transfer portal, but obviously a little bit of that is I think there's a little more talent in college basketball being spread out.
There's no question about it. The parity in college basketball is like it's never been before. Think about this now. Florida Atlantic and San Diego State made the Final Four.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like when I was talking to Will Wade when we came here, or when he was coming here, I said, I mean, we host the tournament.
Yeah.
And in today's world of recruiting and the portal, NIL, all those things, that there's no reason why, a McNeese can't make a run, right?
Yeah.
And that's my goal. And he was, not only did he, accept that, he embraced that. And that's what I love about what Coach is doing with that program, is that he has very lofty goals, and but you're going to see it all over the country, all throughout the year, and you'll see teams get Sweet 16, Final Fours. And you say, where in the world did that come from? Older guys, transfer portal, the world has changed.
Yeah, but you could. I will think that at some point in time you'll see more mid-majors in the top 25 this year than ever before.
I completely agree.
I think that's where we're trending. I think it's harder for the big schools to keep up with mid-majors like before. I think it's interesting that what you guys did with your schedule this year. You have 5 mid-majors, 3 of them being played here.
It's big.
Obviously, the gym is one of those reasons, but that is a different change, because you did it last year to some extent, but you were helped by the MTE.
Right.
But this time they're actually coming here.
They are, and and we it was strategic. I mean, obviously the Southern Miss and UT Martin, we went on the road last year. Now they're returning.
Same with UL.
Exactly. We're working on continuing the relationship with UL, and we signed a 4-year deal with them a few years ago. So we'll hopefully be able to re-up that. It's a great game. It's a great rivalry. But getting mid-majors in here. And playing mid-majors only helps us when it comes to RPIs. And when I took over as coach, we were playing 6 or 7 money games.
Yeah.
And I knew then you can't build a program like that.
No,
you can't do it. And
you're going to be 3-7 every time you start conference.
Absolutely, you get beat up. The travel kills you. You have no confidence, et cetera, and that bleeds into the conference season. So it was, again, I understand that, and we were able to get home and homes with some mid-major teams, and hopefully it's going to pay dividends.
But this gym is obviously big. I mean, they're not coming to Burton Arena.
They're not.
Burton Coliseum.
They're not. No, they every single team that comes in here, they all rave about the facility.
And you drew I think 2,200 for College of Biblical Studies.
Right.
So what are you going to do when UL comes in?
I think we're sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that's
exactly right.
There's a reason to come here now.
Exactly right. And we had more people for our first game against College of Biblical Studies than we did for most league games last year. I mean, that's just a fact.
And you led the league in attendance last year.
Correct. And you know what's really unbelievable? And a shout out to Polk Nation and the fans. We 100% have the best fans around. We are leading the league in attendance in football.
Yeah.
And we're 0-8.
No, I was going to bring that up.
It's amazing.
It shows what will happen if.
Correct.
You can fix that. Football.
Exactly right.
We'll see if he can do that starting next time on Polk Nation. We'll see. Don't forget the Polkcast every Wednesday at Mr. Bill's.